All right, guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Lunar Grace, and I am your co-pilot, Christina. We are here today to talk about that huge chaos that Uranus is going to create entering Gemini. And you can see that on the screen right now. The moment Uranus ingressing Gemini, it's gonna conjunct right away to Venus, and it's going to cross over Alcyon, which is the brightest fixed star in the Palladium. So we're going to talk about the archetype over there. And it makes a square with the moon in Virgo as well, both of them ruled by Mercury. Actually Mercury exalted in Virgo. And we're going to talk about Mercury position, which is conjunct still with Mars and Saturn, separating already, but the influence of Hermes and, Uranus in our life. So this is big, guys. And as I am obsessed with geopolitics and history. And, I always say the truth. Radical honesty is very important for me. And also, I like, Sabian symbols. So we're gonna talk about Sabian symbols. We're also going to talk about Sedna because Sedna is also in 1 degree Gemini. And, geopolitics in general and financial astrology, what to invest in and look for during this ingress. And the sky picture, because the moment it's ingress, it's very important, the other aspect of the other planet. Where were the other planets the moment Uranus went in Gemini? Because it's going to set the theme, okay? So that's what it's gonna do. And what else I wanted to say? I wanted to say, please support my work. It means a lot to me. I am definitely shadow banned. I talk a lot about the recent geopolitical issues. I talk about, I'm very opinionated and I stand in the truth all the time about politics and political parties, obviously the Middle East conflict as well. And I think and I hope I do actually stay and represent the right side of history. I really true, I do. So I'm a decent person, and if you feel like, like you want to learn from me, please hype my videos. It's very important. It's only the first week when you hype, subscribe, like, comment below, engage with me because I always write back to you, and then it's going to have the algorithm and that shadow bending. And also we're going to talk about the historical parallel. So I'm going to talk about the history as well, guys. So it's gonna be a long video, but you have to know, I always going to do the timestamp 2-3 hours later when the transcript comes out. I'm going to do the timestamp for you guys. So that's what you have to know. All right, so definitely radical honesty is my gem, and definitely I'm obsessed with real stories underneath the astrological, aspects over here. All right, what else we should know right now? Let's talk about Uranus a little bit, okay? Before I even go to Sedna or before I even go anywhere else, we're going to talk about Uranus. And you have to know Uranus was not the god who was born. Uranus was just simply there, okay? From the beginning, before Zeus and before the Titans, before anything had a name or a form that could be recognized, right? There was chaos, and that was actually formless, and it was a formless void, all right? And then that is, we called him actually Quaranos, and he was the god of the sky. And his wife was the earth, which is Gaia. They did not meet on a way like, when you imagine they fall in love just like humans fall in love. No, that's almost between Gaia and Quaranas, between Uranus, it's almost like an arranged marriage, right? Because they simply were. So, and because the sky actually exists above the earth, as above, so below, as within, so without, and the earth was exist beneath the sky, their union was not a choice over here. It was the structure of reality itself. The first marriage was not between two people, it was between two principles, right? Heaven and earth, above and below. That is the duality, the polarity between, two principles over here. So Gaia and Uranus produced children, right? And those were, the first one was the Titans. 12 of them actually, and after them they came for example the nymphs as well. And but among the Titans there was one who was really really important to mention over here, Kronos, which is Saturn actually, who um, actually dissembled his father Uranus. And what's happened with this story? So Uranus was told, the children going to betray him. So he started to fear and he started to be scared. And what did he do? Actually, from fear, he put all his children back into Gaia's body, right? Back into Earth. But what's happened over there? They get imprisoned in Gaia's body, in Gaia's womb over there, in their mother womb. And they were pushing, and suffered, and they were actually pressed against her from inside, right? And the pain was total, it was endless, and it had no resolution because actually the one who had caused it was the one with the power to end it, and he would not because he was scared, right? Fear guided him. So Gaia made a sickle and a decision, and from the hardest gray flint in the earth, she shaped a blade actually, and she gave it to Kronos, right? Saturn, the youngest one, the most willing of her Titan children, and told him what to do. And she was holding Uranus against her while he slept. And Kronos actually um, uh, struck and killed the father Uranus over there. And blood was all over, fell in the sea, and from the blood actually they were born the Furies, who were actually goddess of vengeance and also justice as well, but but vengeance and justice for those who pursue, who actually violate the sacred bonds of family. So they only became vengeance with the people who betrayed family. All right. But from his blood also came the giants, right? And the nymphs as well. And who else came from his genital, actually? The foam around his genital, and who was rising from the genital? Venus, the goddess of love, currency, beauty, peace. Okay. And yes, Venus, Aphrodite, was born from actually the love itself was born from his genital. Um, and, Uranus actually became really, really revengeful. But the way he became revengeful, he said, what you did with me, Kronos, what you did with me, Saturn, I actually curse you to have the same history as I had before. So one of your child going to do the same to you. And who is that one child who did that with Kronos? Jupiter, right? Yes. So Jupiter betrayed Kronos. So father betrays, son betrays fathers. I told you guys before there will be a lot of change and in dynamic in government. A lot of princes going to take over the king's position or vice president and president position, changing. The old is going and the new is rising over here. So that is the mythology over here. But what is exactly Uranus means in astrology? Uranus carries dimensions in myth, but in astrology, actually, it is disruption, it is chaos, it is revolution, it is sudden awakening, it is actually the genius itself, your crown chakra, Akashic record, the connection with the genius, refuser to be conventional, for example, and average. It is the flashlight, the insight, the flash of insight. It is the thunder also in a storm, the electricity, lightning, earthquake. It is the wind and tornado, right? It is creating chaos. It's creating anxiety and seizures in the body, for example, but also speedy communication, technology, AI, anything to do with that. It is the visionaries, also the scientists, the genius, but the anarchist as well, because Uranus is the anarchist itself as well. He rules the sky, right? And he was just born in it. But I mean, he wasn't born in it. He was just, you know, and that's why it's very, very important. And he created love itself. He created Aphrodite, Venus. And during this ingress, actually, Venus conjunct with him, right? Because it's only 2 degrees away. Yes, and let's talk about Gemini a little bit over here. And before we talk about Hermes, Mercury, and Gemini is actually the twins, the messengers, the tricksters, right? But the twins itself. So Mercury is the trickster and messenger, but Gemini is the twins. And I don't know if you know about the mythology over here, but there was actually 2 twins we are talking about here, and we're talking about Castor and Pollux, right? And there was a goddess whose name was Leda, and Leda got pregnant with twins, but one of the twins was actually the father as an immortal, which is Zeus, and the other one, Pollux' father, was actually so yes, Pollux' father was immortal, that was Zeus, divine, carrying the eternal fire, and Castor was the son of a mortal husband, and they were inseparable, right? Like they are twins. They loved each other. The greatest brothers in all Greek mythology, right? Companions in every adventures, and they went to the sea and protectors of the sailors. Yes, but then they understood, there was actually a shipwreck there and a storm. And during that storm, actually, Castor was killed in a battle, right? And then because of the father was mortal there, and Pollux became really, really devastated, guys, and he could not bear the separation. He couldn't bear the pain. He went to Zeus, to his father, who is usually get involved in everything, right? And asked him actually and requested him to have, his brother back, Castor, to be alive again. And Zeus granted it, but Zeus never grants anything in a way like, okay, here it is, and you can travel the sky together or whatever. No, it is like, all right, he could become immortal, but you will have to alternate, right? One day the world of living gonna be yours, and the underworld is his, and you're trading places. So you're never really going to travel together ever again, You are connected, Gemini, but like in duality. So that's what the duality of the Gemini nature, maybe the double face, or maybe, like it's the duality, like the Pisces duality, right? It is just like it's a mutable sign, it's a mutable air sign, right? And yeah, so that's how they are never together, but they are whole because one representing the light, the other is darkness, and they changing overnight, right? So changing all the time. So yeah, and also they were the duality was always represented. That's why Zeus kept the duality, perhaps because of one had a mortal and the other was immortal. There is duality in that already. And then we're going to talk about Hermes over here. And, actually, Hermes, Mercury, is the ruler of Gemini and Virgo, but in Virgo it's exalted, okay? So it rules the third house and it rules the sixth house, right? And he was born at dawn and by noon. And, Mercury actually has no gender in astrology. This is the only one who had no gender. And so yes, what I wanted to say over here, he had, a genius of mind that could see music in everything. By afternoon, he had stolen a cattle of Apollo, his older brother, and driven them backward across the field, so the tracks pointed in the wrong direction, right? So he is the uh, petty theft, but he is always the trickster as well. That's where is it coming from, actually, right? But he did it because of uh, by evening he had charmed his way out of punishment by playing the lyre for Apollo, who was so enchanted by the music that he forgave the theft and traded the cattle for the instrument. So, tricksters. One of the first day of his life, Hermes has invented music and also committed theft and created a cover up as well and negotiated a peace as well. He was 1 day old. This is the Gemini mind, right? Very, very quick-minded and sarcastic and good stand-up comedies. The one that arrives in the world already playing, already scheming, already making connection no one else had made before, already talking its way out of what it like itself into. Like, talked, yes. So Hermes became the messenger of gods, not because he was the most powerful or the most wise, but because he was the only one who could move freely between free areas, free territory. That was Olympus and the earth and the underworld. He could go anywhere. He could cross any kind of boundaries between the living, between the bed, right? No boundaries between territories over there. He also belonged nowhere exclusively, he was a wanderer. He loved his freedom, he is fast. And yes, so he carried actually a caducus, and also, he has, which is actually represented by two entwined serpent around it, and it became the symbol of the modern medicine right now, right? But also he symbolizes communication and commerce and yes, selling, purchasing stuff as well. So yes, Hermes holds them together, right? And he does not resolve the tension between them. He carries it upright as the instrument of his function. And what else is there? So he's the messages and the communication god and the trade and commerce traveler and actually the thieves, the petty thieves, what I said between. And he's crossing borders, language and power of the word, wit and intelligence. It's very important. Trickery, deception, right? And in astrology, Mercury, in Gemini, actually really quick-minded, and he has a gift for language. He has a lot of information, and he loves information, and good communication ability, good processing information as well, and very, very quick as well. So the tendencies over here. And then we have to talk about the third house, what it rules as well. And the third house is, in astrology, everything to do with, for example, communication, speaking, writing, listening, reading, anything to do with workshop, with your vehicle, that is the road, what you are going on. This is actually your siblings, younger one, short trip, short traveling. It's your relatives like niece, nephew, uncle, aunts belong from here, right? So it is definitely connecting with traveling and connecting with the mind and the way you process information, language itself as well. It is undergrad schools or skills, for example, craftsmanship. It's also craftsmanship, how you weave a basket, for example, things like that. Yes, and early peers as well. It's your peers from school, for example, and your local environment, your marketplace on Facebook, your market, your farmers market where you buy your honey and eggs from. Yes, so early education, this is primary schools, guys, pre-K, kindergarten, primary school, up to high school, senior years, for example. And the body part that is, for example, your arms, like your limbs, your wrists, that's what it representing. But Mercury itself also respiratory illnesses as well, and uh, and mind activity. If it's badly affected, especially with Uranus involved, it could create, mental illness. It could create autism, uh, or even dementia. So in my book, I talk a lot about autism and dementia. But yes, so that is the way you carry, your language and the way you speak, your speaking ability. But also it could carry anxiety disorders as well, especially because Uranus going to Gemini right now, and the condition of you know of your nervous system, for example. And it could bring in some kind of carpal tunnel, shoulder, frozen shoulder, things like that, but also respiratory illnesses as well. Yes. And um, so it's also, because it's childhood, your childhood, who you capable, your third house representing who you capable to study when you are a child. For example, I have in Aquarius Mercury in my third house, and that's the genius over there. And I was always able to process information very quickly. I was always great with poems, writing lyrics, and talk quickly. I was always chosen in theater. That's why I'm a drama teacher, special ed teacher, because I'm comfortable on stage. I'm okay with and speech, and I always been. So yes, and in mundane astrology, the third house is the media and journalism, anything to do with also writing a book, not publishing, that's the ninth house, podcasting and broadcasting also more like ninth house, but we always check the axis energy as well, guys. But communication technology, your phone, your internet, your car belongs from here, your TV, your radio, if you have it, nobody has it anymore. But yeah, actually I do have a radio, but I only use it during hurricane season. So it's funny, I still have it for hurricanes. When everything going on, I still can use that radio. Um, and the shadow of the third house and Gemini, they could be double face and they could be gossipy, for example, and they could be petty thieves and overthinking. And because of that very, superficial and anxiety, they can have ADHD, if Mercury Uranus badly aspected, that could create ADHD or there could be a lot of miscommunication and misunderstanding, especially if your nervous system is overload, for example. Yes. All right. Yes. So that's the third house and the sixth house. Let's talk a little bit of the sixth house over here. Okay. So we're going to talk about the sixth house because it's actually Mercury in the sixth house, which is also exalted over there. So the essential dignity of Mercury, because it's rules Gemini, it's exalted in Virgo, and also it's detriment in Pisces, and detriment. No, it's actually not detriment, but it's what is it? Fall in Pisces and detriment in Sagittarius. And during this ingress, Mercury, it's still conjunct with Mars and Saturn in Pisces, so it's in fall. Okay, so we also have to understand that. But the sixth house rules and exalt in the sixth house, Virgo is service for others, and it is your private hospital, pet, your anything to do with your gym membership. It is the military defense of the country, insurance, private insurances. Um, and small animals also were their holistic healing as well. So yes, that's what it is: service for others and daily routine. But I lost my line a little bit over here. What did I want to say here? Yes, we talked about the essential dignity. Oh, you know what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about actually the ingress moment. When it's ingress, actually, it's going to be right away on the Sabian symbol of the glass bottom boat. What does it mean? The glass bottom boat. And just, I don't know if you ever actually had that kind of trip in Puerto Rico, when you go to see the little glowing shrimps, luminaries not luminaries, oh my God, bioluminaries, uh, in the ocean. That is glowing shrimps, okay? And we see that in Puerto Rico, and we saw that in Holbox in Mexico. Beautiful, beautiful experience, just like Northern Light was, but it is also, it's phenomenal. You go in a glass bottom boat at night, it's very scary, ocean all over, and you are, rowing, and everything is amazingly seen under the glass bottom boat, and it is just the most amazing experience. And um, so yes, but you see deep, and if it is not dark, for example, if you don't want to see the glowing shrimps and you just go in the glass bottom boat, you see deeply into the ocean. You can see stuff. What is the ocean? The ocean is your unconscious, your subconscious. So a lot of us is going to go within, and we're going to actually see, and connect with our subconscious. We're gonna go deep inside and do research about ourselves, maybe segregated ourselves from society a little bit, being detached a little bit during this time. So that is the glass bottom boat, to see clearly right now. And then we also have to talk about the fixed star over here. And the fixed star is actually Alcicon. And she is the brightest fixed star actually. And it is on the shoulder of the bull and in the Pleiadians, the seven sisters, right, in mythology. All right. And the Pleiades actually were navigating the Egyptians, the Greek, the Maoris all the time. Actually, it's marked the beginning of agricultural year across multiple civilizations as well. And it is one of the brightest. And, Ptolemy said it's Mars and Moon in flavor, in nature. And Alvada said it's Mars and Moon opposing Sun. So ambition, like courage, but also violence and violent death and blindness as well. So that's what we have to know about that. And also, it's also conjunct right away to Sedna, which is a dwarf planet. And Sedna's story is very sad. I don't know if you saw one of my interview with Clay, but Ellen Clay did a lot of interview with Pam Gregory. She's amazing, and Ellen Clay is a New Zealand older gentleman who has extremely amazing knowledge, and he's the most humble astrologer I have seen on earth. Okay, he's an amazing person, and he wrote about Sedna. You can buy the book on Amazon. He's an amazing human, and he has the dwarf planet university and very affordable. So he keeps the prices very affordable. He's a real gentle, humble, decent human. That's what I should say. So yeah, go out and go check his Ellen Clay, his name. So what is Sedna over here? And the Sedna story was always really disappointing for me because, in 2003, they actually discovered Sedna, and it is a dwarf planet. It's very, very far outer in the solar system, so it takes a tremendous long time to go around the zodiacal cycle, around the orbit of the sun. So the myth of Sedna over here, and what does it really mean, the myth of Sedna? It was like there was actually the father who betrayed her daughter in this situation. There was a young woman, and he was thrown out from a boat by his father, and she tried to cling on the boat, but the father actually cut her fingers off one by one, and every single joint, and removed her, and she fell under the ocean. So she became the goddess actually of the ocean. From her fingers, actually, the whales, the Arctic animals, anything to do with all kind of sea creatures. The seals, they were born from that phalanges, right? That joints, fingers, what was cut off. But Sedna herself, went under the water, sinked. And then in astrology, Sedna actually represents, the wound of abundant by people who loves us, who we think they're supposed to protect us. That's what's happening in the world right now, guys. We abandon a lot of people who we're supposed to protect, we're supposed to talk, um, who we're supposed to speak up and say the truth and fight for them. Fight for our children, fight for the children. We do have a lot of no king days. Ain't king. We're supposed to have protests for the children in Epstein fire, the kidnapped children all over in the world, the oligarchy who are taking our children and sacrificing them and abusing them. That's what we're supposed to do. So yeah, Sedna is a very, very sad story for me, but read actually Alan's books because he's really amazing with that. All right, so this is really extraordinary over here, guys, because of, it is something like right away Sedna is there, the bottomless boat over there, and we also have Arcticon as well. So it is just going to be really revolutionary. And when you see the sky also with also squaring with moon right away when it's ingress, and the moon is the public fear, it's representing the general public, it's your emotions as well. And in Virgo, it could become very anxious, right? Because Virgo also Mercury exalt there, so anxiety as well. Um, yeah, so we will have a little trip over here for sure. And then I wanted to talk about, let me just check what Zsombor, you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Just let me tell my son if I'm okay. He's cutie pie. Yes, I love you. Yes, I love you. Okay. He has a really great afternoon. He's going with his friends to the clubhouse, and I have to pick him up at 10, and he's so enthusiastic about that. But I'm going back to actually what I wanted to say over here, guys. And um, let me bring in some historical parallel actually in this video. And because then when you understand the historical parallel, then you understand, what could happen with us. So, for example, we were talking about Uranus over here, right? And actually, Uranus is exalted in Scorpio. Yes. Its detriment in Leo, and it's in fall in Taurus. So that's what you have to know, and rules Aquarius also. And the keywords between, it's innovation, but also breakdown. It's polarity in Uranus, as above, so below. Every single planet has polarity. You also have to know that. And it is intuition, but also change as well. It is chaos, and it is also liberation as well, creativity and non-conformity, right? Um, originality, but also Uranus's detachment. Look at an Aquarius moon person. They can be so detached, so cold. Sometimes I don't know how to talk to Aquarius people if they are, you know, I just don't know. Yeah. Even if my Mercury is in Aquarius, and so I have some placement over there, but sometimes it's hard for me to connect. It's restlessness, but also electricity as well. It's really excitement and revolutionary science and uh, experimentations. Yes, sudden change. The lightning bolt, the sudden change, freedom, technology, truthfulness. Right? It is ruling the gay people, and it's also ruling tornado, earthquake, anything to do with the genius, the higher mind, the Akashic record, the universal mind, dangerous and inventive, the same times abnormal and unconventional, outspoken, rebellious, antisocial and revolutionary, the chaos itself, right? And then when we go to history, actually, and we can go back all the way to, let me say over here, which one I wrote first. We can go back in the 1440 when Uranus actually toured Gemini over there. That's when we had the Gutenberg Revolution, which is a civil war. Also, guys, you have to understand when Uranus goes from Taurus to Gemini, there is always a war. And unfortunately, April is very, very intense because we also have Saturn, Neptune very close together, Saturn and Mars, Mars and Neptune, and Saturn, Mars, Mercury. So it is just like, it is crazy intense month. So I talked to a lot of my friends, a lot of people, and everybody seems to be down and depressed and also, like fighting. People are fighting like crazy, breaking up. Uh, like marriages and friendship, like out of nothing, right? All right, so but I'm going back in 1440 when we did have the Gutenberg civil war over there. It was a revolution. And then um, also, what did we have over there? We did in the 1609, we had the Uranus Gemini cycle again, and we did have a scientific revolution. 1606, we had, Galileo and Kepler actually, who were busy publishing paradigm shattering truths, right? And there was the first regular newspaper of the world as well. And yes, what else happened over there? We had in 1690 when Uranus went to Gemini 48 years later. Yeah, because Uranus, it takes 48 years to go, 48, 84 years, like 84 years to go around the zodiacal cycle. So usually it stays 7 years in each individual sign. Yes. And in 1690 and between 97, we did have Isaac Newton theories as well. And we had also the scientific understanding challenge the church during that time. Okay, then we had 1774 and 1781. We had the revolution in the US, also American Revolution. That is, it's always, as I said, uh, we always have something to do with civil wars, guys, civil wars. And you know what? I want to go back to something. Gutenberg was not a civil war over there. It's not the US Gutenberg. It was actually the printing paper. And I'm so sorry to make that mistake. All right, but what else I wanted to say? Yes, so I was on 1774 and 1781. So yes, also we had the American Revolution, but that's when we actually, Uranus was discovered during this kind of Gemini, Uranus in Gemini cycle. We also had, the steam engines as well and the probability theory as well. And in 1858 and 1865, during this time, we also had Neptune in Aries, guys. We actually had the Civil War bloodbath, right? And American Civil War, Indian upsprings, and Britain doubling down on imperialism during this time. So Uranus and Gemini also always war. And in then 1858 and 1865, we did have the telegraph, new technology. We had the Darwin, on the origin of species theory. All right, we did have the first subway in London, underground during there, and Civil War again in Germany. And then in 1941 and 1949, what did we have? We had the Second World War. So obviously, we had nuclear bomb, we had Hiroshima, right? We had Project Diana during this time. So, and we also had Roswell. Roswell is actually UFO paranoia as well. And right now, we are also having some kind of unidentified, like object testimonies coming out right now, especially with the Navy. So we can see that. But also during this time in the 1940s in America, we had that kind of LSD movement. And actually, Gemini, Uranus is mushrooms, LSD, right? Mushrooms also, and Gemini itself as well. But um, yes, so right now we also could have some kind of breakthrough with psychedelic mushrooms, and actually maybe they're going to allow and heal depression, especially vets and PTSDs from war with psychedelic mushrooms. They're going to probably, how do you call that when you do just little portion, microdose psychedelic, and it could be actually some kind of, you know, uh, like it's a new law over there. It could declare something with gay marriages again, guys, and because we had the Human Rights Declaration also in 1948. Um, and yes, so with that have, and also we had some kind of tapes, recorders, and translators as well. Yes, so that's the themes over here. Telegraph and right now we're going to go to AI and AI forms. You will see it's going to be like you know it's going to be crazy. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit of other mythology over here. Prometheus also actually, because Prometheus was the real chaos creator, the real revolutionary, and Prometheus also associated with Uranus, the Prometheus story. Prometheus was the one who actually took the fire from Olympus and gave it to the mortals. And he was punished for that, right? What did he do? He got actually tied to a stone, and the vultures came and eat his liver and it's grow back, and the torture kept going on and on and on because of he gave the fire to the humans, and the humans were not ready. So that's why he had to be tortured. So I'm wondering, maybe because of we are not ready to see the Epstein fire, but we will see Uranus, in Gemini hackers, especially it's trining with Pluto in Aquarius, humanity. So might be that kind of situation. Yes. But I definitely could be something to do with Uranus is also the energy coming from the sun as well. So we're going to have a lot of solar flares as well. Uh, yes, but definitely severe rights, severe wars for sure, especially when it's going to do its first conjunction with Mars in July 4th on America's birthday. Yes, so that's what's gonna happening. But then I'm gonna go further, and I will talk about financial astrology and each individual sign as well. But I also going to talk about like just in general, what could it mean sexually? What could it mean for the world? Uranus over here, besides what does it rule? And you already know that it's going to be the change over here and what the shadow and the exaltation of all of them. But yes, so for example, the financial astrology sector over here, right? So what is Uranus over here? Cryptocurrency, technology, technological industry, anything to do with that. And it's coming in Gemini, which is voice and audio technology. We're gonna understand, the babies crying and translate it. I know you have those what is that headsets, which is understanding actually the um, language right away. So we're not going to have a language problem anymore because people just going to put the headset and you can listen any kind of video because it's going to translate it for you right away. Um, and Gemini does rule the speech and the vocal cord, right? So, and it's also Uranus's frequency as well. So, for example, there will be vibrational astrology, which is going to be, during this time very important. But in financial astrology, it's going to be something to do with audio technology. It's going to be translating the dog barking, anything to do with sound hound AI, right? Because of they going to right away gonna listens, transcribe right away to AI, and you can create any kind of pictures or voice biometric companies that most people have not heard of yet are actually positioned at the center of the market right now. And it could be in smartphones also, right? The trading pattern also going to change in financials as well. We're going to have companies, large platform companies, which is going to all include all of them, like Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, but specialized voice AI companies at significant, premiums over there. All right, and then we're also going to have neural interference and prosthetic technology as well, because of Gemini's arm. Uranus is something to do with, chips. And that's very important because a lot of people who are paralyzed or have some kind of issues, they're going to be able to walk again, use their hands. We do have a lot of people whose limbs are cut off because of this terrible, evil war. And because of that, because it's trining with Pluto and it's going to be an ongoing trine for 2 years between them, the two outer planet, obviously there it's going to be like we're going to create a lot of limbs and prosthetics, which is going to help those one who are, compromised because of the war. So yes, but something to do with hands, fingers, because that's what Gemini rules. Prosthetic response to nerve signals, for example, um, anything to do with, um, you know, yeah, turn the human arm into keyboard. So you put a chips over there and something comes up and you can type and you can also in your glasses, whatever. So that's also going to go, all of them. All right. Then clean energy and anything to do with hydrogen and wind, because Uranus is tornadoes also, so wind energy is going to be very powerful, but it's going to be next generation of wind, right? Because of what did he say? He said, the windmills kills the hawks and the eagle, the bald eagles, and we cannot use wind energy. That's what Trump said like 4 months ago. So it's crazy, but okay. So it's gonna be a new generation of wind energy there, and hydrogen batteries, and also, it could be also hydrogen-driven cars because Mercury is also uh, cars as well. So it could be that as well. All right, and definitely we're going to have a lot of UFO seeing. People going to talk about that, Navy going to talk about that. Um, they might even going to invade because they have enough from stupidity of humans. Um, At this point, at this point, I think it would be great, you know? Yes. Also something to do with cybersecurities, batteries, because that's Uranus. Uranus also actually, guys, if you know that, it's recycling as well. So batteries, um, but is that a system, alarm system is going to be great financial investment, uranium, lithium, graphite, Mercury rules graphite, and a lot of people doesn't know actually batteries made of 52% graphite, 48% lithium. So, it would be great investment if you look out for those. Computing, even trading with something to do with quantum computing as well. Yes, something to do with neurotech and dementia healing, ALS healing. By the way, I have told you guys many times, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feeling who is Indian and Hindu. But I had a professor I studied from, and that is Dr. Wallach, and he has actually his supplements on stock market. That was the first supplement on stock market. He did like over 4,000 biopsies. He has a lot of books like Dead Doctors Don't Lie. He's amazing. He's an amazing old gentleman. And he said, like ALS and dementia, Parkinson, even autism, it's from all, the same mineral deficiency, but affecting different part of the brain. And he said also that's why in India, because he did a lot of autopsy in India, and he realized there was, and I forget what was the mineral, what was missing, um, uh, earth mineral, but not earth mineral, what was missing from the body. But that's why in India, all the goddess was actually represented by multiple hands and things, because it could also create that kind of, um, like abnormality to born with so many hands and legs and things like that. So it's no disrespect for Hindu and your Hindu goddesses and gods. It is just that's what he said, and I think it's interesting. All right. So yes, something to do the neuroscience, as well, or finding the solution for autism. They're going to put a lot more chips in people as well. And, because of also ADHD, they can heal ADHD during this time, and PTSD for sure, You can, and you will be able to wear, wearable EEGs and EKG, things like little monitors all the time. You will be able to exercise. It's gonna be so tiny and so innovative, right? So yes, that could be really. I told you guys, it's computer system. So we're going to telemed. It's already exists a long time, but I was talking about that. We draw our blood, and we're gonna put that on the computer one drop. It's gonna analyze for us, like which doctor is the closest. Do you want holistic Western medicine, integrative medicine? What is the supplementation you have to take? It's early detect cancer and everything. So, at one point, it's going to be really, really great. But on the other hand, Uranus in Gemini, Pluto in Aquarius could be like Antichrist. It could be like, like earthquakes and like AI taking over. I told you guys by end of 2027, and you hated me for that, but not you who are on my channel, because actually I realized that, if somebody has a bigger channel and I'm a guest over there, the critics are really, like evil sometimes, trolling you, and they don't think I'm a human being or I have feelings. And it's not disagreement, it's just trolling constantly. But yes, and most of the thing what I'm saying, it's coming through at least 80%, and they still troll me. Okay, but what I wanted to say over here, we going to have, yes, with, first of all, decentralized media. And I lost my thoughts again, the line of thoughts over here with technology. Oh, AI and the Antichrist. Yes, it could be. And you know what? Peter Thiel. Oh my God, I hate them with passion. Sam Altman, Peter Thiel, ChatGPT, everything. You know, guys, I started to use ChatGPT to organize the things what I write. And it keeps changing my wording and even sometimes changing, what is that? The timing on things. And I was like, oh my God, I have to go back 1,000 times. Sometimes my eyes are, like burning out and I don't see if there is mistake. But I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore because of it's like it's a lot of work, actually giving more work. And if you don't feed your AI with your knowledge, then it's give you crap, and it's bias when you ask. Actually, I asked ChatGPT to make a picture of the Alexander brothers who were convicted with 60 women rapes. It's the Miami IDF guys, who did a lot of luxury real estate and sold the Miami Beach house for Jared Kushner and Ivanka. Um, and they said, I'm not going to do it. Said, not gonna do this picture because of I don't want to. These are real people, and I cannot uh, hurt their reputation. And I was like, are you freaking crazy? They abused women and you are care for their reputation. But then I was like, oh, of course, it's Sam Altman's, who created ChatGPT, and somebody killed Shuji right over there, who was the CEO, the whistleblower, the Indian guy, a genius Scorpio guy. And somebody accused to be raping her own sister over 7 years. Okay, so move away from ChatGPT. But so those are the things, yes, which is going to actually be, taking over. AI can take over. And, Larry Ellison, actually in Palm Beach, he bought right now, not the Palm Beach Zoo, but next to it, the Safari Park. And he creates an AI, uh, whatever, a whole entire AI park over there. So first of all, we're going to have a lot of radiation from there. So this is crazy, right? It's in South Florida, and then I don't know what else they are doing. They terrible, terrible, terrible humans. And as I said before, 2 years ago, by 2027, even beginning 2027, will be really difficult. By the end, when Pluto and Saturn gonna start to square already, Antichrist, right? And it could be just like when Saturn Pluto conjuncted in January 2020, right? Antichrist COVID. Um, and then it's gonna square right now, 2027, 28. So yeah, AI could take over more than 53% of our jobs. And it's sad. It's sad because that's what they want. They want to actually decrease the population. That's why COVID, right? You saw the Epstein fire. Actually, Bill Gates and Epstein was talking about that, how to create a pandemic. I was like, are you kidding me? So yes, we will see the fires as why, guys, because of Uranus in Gemini wants the truth. It's genius. Hackers. Gen Z is amazing. They are hackers. They're not going to allow the boomers to take over or to stay and cling on to to power anymore. So it's gonna be refreshing. All right. Okay, and what else? Web storages, new web storages, holographic studying. That's gonna be something to invest in. Children not going to go to school the way it was. I just told Matton because he's so, up to like that kind of, oh, I'm gonna go to the university. I'm going to, Duke, I've been invited, and neurosurgeon, and I was like, darling, it's not gonna be like that anymore. You have to understand. He doesn't want to, but I was like, okay, realization gonna come because he has a whole stellium in Aquarius anyway, so he will understand, but he just denying right now. Yes, but crypto also going to be the way, and crypto going to go really up when by Vedic and when by what is that? Uh, Still in 6 years by Vedic, Uranus gonna go to Gemini also, and by tropical Uranus still gonna be in Gemini. That's why crypto going to be very, very important, really high. And it's going to get crypto going to get momentum from April 26 on. However, also what you have to understand, even Bitcoin, it's significantly decreased. I told you guys the market manipulation, it's longer than it is. Saturn, Neptune still very close, and right now we're getting the Martian influence, the war influence over here, which is again manipulation, oil manipulation. Gold is gonna go up whenever we have war. Like gold is going. Saturn return to the U.S. Dollar chart. Come on, it is like dollar not going to be used for petrol anymore. So that's what's happening, guys. But I'm going back to Uranus in Gemini again, and anything. Every single Mercury retrograde, because Uranus is in Gemini, ruled by Mercury, so every single Mercury retrograde going to actually affect the market. You have to watch for Mercury retrograde right now. All right. When it stations and it's direct, it's stronger. When it's, stopping and going into retrograde, then it's going to change the market and decrease the value, crypto and things like that. All right. What else? And geopolitical events, that is nuclear bombs. It is like uranium enrichment. It is, manipulating, hacking, manipulating the mind. It's reading your mind, which is scary. Manipulating your words, because Gemini is freedom of speech, right? And it is going to sextile with Saturn right away. Saturn is in fall. So they want to manipulate you and they want to control what you can post. And that's how they want to imprison you, for example, or or actually predict if you are a criminal or not. What did you say about the I nation in Middle East, or whatever. I have to use code, guys, because of I'm talking a lot, and as I said, I'm being sabotaged and censored. So I really have to try to use and channel my anger. I'm very angry lately, and I don't want to be. I don't like myself like this. Yes, but your mind going to become genuinely faster, and you're gonna talk faster. Even if you listen someone or social media, you're just gonna go on fast forward and like I do that with everyone anyway because of I can't have slow people around me. I just can't have that many slow questions. I get bored and Cosmo wants to have a little bit of time right now. Look, he's already barking. Let me just stop a little bit this video so I check what is he doing. Okay, so I don't want to end, but I want to stop the recording, pause the recording. Okay. Okay. I had to stop him, like lock him out a little bit because he's being crazy right now, Cosmo. I don't understand why, but he's just being crazy a little bit. All right, what else I wanted to say about the market, and sometimes maybe even, how it's going to. Yeah, I going to. Do I want to say anything else about the market? Hmm. Um, because of maybe it would be a great time for you to actually enter the market and invest in something, definitely something to do with language and neural technology, right? That's really, really important. Um, we were talking about that. Anything to do with healthcare system, also holographic images. I just try to summarize it. Also, prosthetic, smart prosthetic, neural sleeves, for example, right? As well, but as electric vehicles, hydrogen driven vehicles, but electric vehicles. And guys, leave me alone with that. I'm a China fan, but yes, CYB is actually sold over 700,000 more than Tesla. And yes, Elon Musk is actually buying their batteries because it's smaller, more efficient, and sufficient. And somebody said, "Who do you know? You know, Tesla batteries are giving up after 5 years." I know because a lot of my friend has Teslas, and they entered some kind of difficulties with the batteries over there, right? And when you change it, it's very expensive. Also, the batteries are going to the landfill, guys. Come on, it's toxic. So, and the Chinese battery has really small batteries, and longevity is extreme. So check electric vehicles or hydrogen driven vehicles, as I said. uh, Rocket lab, small nuclear power, because that's Uranus in Gemini, very, very important as well. Anything what can actually increase lucidity and lucid dreaming, guys. It could be a chip, it could be some kind of technology wave, Rife machine, for example. That's also going to be good for healings as well. And the hertz and megahertz, they're gonna actually heal serious illnesses with vibration, for example. Wind energy, vertical turbines, right? Anything to do because it's an air uh, um, sign, so it's very, very important. Something to do with aircrafts as well. Uranus is drones. Unfortunately, military drones. Also, July 4th cannot start a synodic cycle with Mars. So military drones going to be also, you know, very important, and it's going to be high up on stock as well. Okay, what else? Holographic media, holographic images, holographic education, Um, what else going to be? Surveillance, I said, because we're going to have a lot of social unrest, so surveillance cameras as well. Palantir is a question over here. I cannot invest in Palantir somehow. I just can't. Also careful with the American technology bubble, guys, because we had that in 1998 and 2001. And right now, the planetary aspects are really showing the technology in the US. Google, Apple, ChatGPT, they feed NVIDIA, they feed on each other. So careful with those stocks, okay? It's very, very important. Secret geometry also, going to be very important as well during this time. Yes, something to do with anti-censorship economy, anti-censorship technology. We're going to have new channels, not like YouTube censoring. Rumble is already over there and it's not censoring, but other communities, other, platforms like that, which is not censoring us. And it would be great, But we also going to enter a lot of cyber attacks and server crashes, you have to understand. And they're going to have some kind of technology for server crashes, and that's what could go up really, really high. So, yes, and as I said, UFOs, that's going to be revolutionary. We're going to be able to contact with multiple civilization in other planets or other, system, Milky Way system. So that's going to be, and it's gonna change also the way we believe and our religious wars, because that's what's happening. Do you guys remember when I said the Pope going to be in trouble, the new Pope, and I said the Pope gonna die, uh, you know, March or April 2025, new Pope is coming and gonna be trouble again. Of course, this administration threatened the Pope. I can't believe that. Right now, I was reading the news and I was like, this is like unbelievable evil. It's unbelievable evil. All right, but that's what's happening, guys. And then let me go and talk a little bit the personal effect of that. As I said, we are healing dementia and ADHD. We are healing autism. We're going to what I really love. We're going to genuinely being awakened, not going to become sleepwalkers again, like so many people are, and genuinely the IQ going to become higher. But obviously, we can get overstimulated from information. I get overstimulated from information. I listen podcast all day long. If I am walking, if I am doing the dishwashing, vacuuming, whatever. I always do that. So yes, that's what's happening over here. You have to protect yourself from EMF. It's very, very important. Uranus is also, electromagnetic field. So anything to do with that frequency, use, the copper blanket. I was talking to Summer today, just a little bit of catching up. And he gave me a lot of, electric magnetic field protection ideas, and I'm gonna do that because the router has to be off, and what I do, but it's difficult. All right, and what else I wanted to say? I think that's only I wanted to say over here. Mm, no, let me see what else. I know I want to say something else. I'm just gonna stop here a little bit. Pause record. I hope you're going to stop barking because it's really annoys me. And I don't know what's wrong with my dog sometimes. So yes, I think I talked a lot about that. Make sure, when you are analyzing, you check, because Sedna is very important over here. The square with the moon and also the ruler conjunct with Saturn, censorship, right? They want to control our mind. They want to control what we speak, how we speak, what we think. So that's very important because of the sky picture of the very beginning is the following, right? It is that's what it is. It is uh, Uranus Venus conjunct, but it squares with Moon in Virgo, and the ruler of Gemini, where Uranus ingress, it is obviously conjunct Saturn and Mars. Yes, so also careful with fighting with your children, fighting with your loved ones, because that could often happen. It can break up a lot of relationship, guys. It could be really, really volatile energy, especially because it's in fixed star, the Palladians, right? And also there is also Sedna, the sad story in mythology. Like someone can betray you, talk bad about you, censor you, sell you out, who is actually supposed to protect you. So that's what it is. All right. But at the same time, Uranus going to quickly also trine to Pluto, and it's in a sextile with Pallas and Neptune as well. You can see that on the picture here. So yeah, that's what's happening. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna actually talk about each individual signs. And for example, Gemini for Aries rising, Sun and Moon. It's your third house real estate, right? So it's your communication, local world, your siblings, your media, short journeys, your mind, right? And Uranus over here going to change your void. It's revolutionary here, right? It's something immediate, right? And also in your immediate environment as well. So you might going to have a visit from aunt, uncle, or some kind of siblings as well, gonna move closer. Someone in the neighborhood, moves and not even saying, they're gonna move away, kind of situation. You can make a beautiful website. You can start to do online schools. You're gonna be the first who is actually study through holographic schools, holographic images, right? Your communication style is going to go and undergo, like grow under. huge changes. You're gonna be, like upgrading your computer, your phone, your security system. People going to notice you speak differently, you are faster, your brain is faster, your voices carry some kind of witness. You can become a stand-up comedist, by the way. Your media presence going to be very strong. You can go on YouTube channel doing newsletters, start to teach, as I said, on social media. Definitely sudden shift over here. You might go into buy an electric vehicle also, or just upload your house to become a smart home as well. Your relationship with local environment could be actually, like more political, or more, like you're gonna do some kind of non-profit for your local environment. Teaching children, for example, after school teaching as well. It could be as well. Um, then what else could happen over here? You can actually have your cousin or your siblings' children move in with you. Maybe they live far away and they want to go to college next to you, or you high school, and then you're gonna take care of them. So it could happen for you. There could be some kind of issue with electric magnetic field around your house in your neighborhood. Maybe they are going to have some kind of AI company coming in, just like in my neighborhood, and you might want to rebel against it, and you're going to protest against it, for example. Yes, it could be also something like you can monetize your writing, your speech, um, your AI creation, for example. You can work behind the scene. You can be a bridge and do PR companies. You can do actually editing books, or ghostwriting books right now. It could be really, really great for you. Yeah. All right, Taurus rising sun and moon, it's going to happen in your second house, and second house is your values, money, anything to do with your profession, possession, your income, your material foundations as well. So what's happening over here for you in the second house? Your resources going to change. You might going to invest in cryptocurrency. You're definitely going to use AI and technology and learn about it. That's very important for you. Your value is also going to change. You might going to support gay marriages, and before you didn't. You're gonna start to stream. Definitely it's going to be something with you using your voice. You can actually use your voice, frequency healing. You can do like a gift that is a sidekick job, or something to do with financial astrology, something to do with vibrational astrology you can do during this time, or learn during these 7 years, right? Definitely a sudden change, and maybe the way you actually belong from money, you understand money. So yes, not necessarily going to be reliable income over here, but more like, I'm doing this, that. So multiple, you're gonna stand on multiple uh, um, legs. And you know what? Actually, it's mushrooms as well. And second house, something what you eat, and supplements. Maybe you go into supplement mushrooms, or eat more light, become vegetarian, or eat just, for example, mushrooms during this time. It could happen with you guys as well. Uh, yes, but definitely you can have a consultation job, teach people how to use AI, or how to invest in cryptocurrency. Maybe you are the one who is having those kind of classes and selling those kind of classes. Um, Financial, technology sector for you could be really good. Taurus rising, sun and moon, for example, fintech, or decentralized finances during this time. Yeah. So maybe even you buy a farmland and you put a lot of windmill over there and it's going to generate, I don't know what, but electricity or whatever, and you live off from that. So yeah, it could be that. Or, it could be like you buy a farmland, but you create a community on the farmland, um, and people who are very uh, agile, youthful, Gemini-like people who loves, for example, AI and technology. You can have a whole entire tech community somehow. Um, so that's your values as well. And the values is Uranus is something to do with non-profits. So definitely connection with the Akashic record, divine knowledge. So your values are changing and you're going to actually value knowledge and value music, right? And yeah, so that could be a voice. Maybe, as I said, you're going to go to a stage where you're going to sing and you're gonna succeed and it's bringing you a land full of success and money for you. um, what else could be? You can actually, if you have a farmland and if you are a farmer, you can use technology to ease your job. You can do a hydroponic garden, for example, in your garden as well. So that could be, and support your family with your own grown food, but it's hydroponic somehow. Yeah. All right, Gemini rising sun and moon, it's going to happen in your first house, which is your body, your identity, yourself, your self-expression, the way you present yourself to the world, right? So Uranus is coming home into your first house, and it is actually something to do with, your identity, your physical presence. Some of you going to come out from the closet and going to say, okay, I'm gay. But you change your name, you change your face, you change the way you look, very airy, very Uranian energy, crazy hair days, look like Einstein. Uranus for me, it's always Einstein hair. But it is your whole entire identity goes under some kind of complete visible transformation. Maybe because publicity, and maybe, it's not gradually, definitely, it's sudden. And one day to another, you had a long black hair and you just next day it's gonna be tiny, short and blonde or white or whatever. So I'm saying sudden and big changes over here. Uh, but you're going to be a lot quicker. You're going to maybe perhaps even download information in your dreams, and you're gonna write a book, for example. You are the bridge between people. You can open a PR company. You can actually also, do something with ghostwriting as well. So. You can become a very eclectic fashion designer, but very Uranian, when you put some kind of metal in the dresses somehow, like UFO kind of grayish, look of designs over here, or you're gonna wear that. Um, you get into researches and you're going to be mesmerized by UFOs. Oh, maybe you're going to have a UFO encounter. I told you guys, I don't know if you heard my previous videos, but when I was 17, I did have actually a UFO encounter and it was amazing and big. I'm gonna actually say this experience at Sagittarius rising because I am a Sag rising. So right now, I'm just saying you also, Geminis, you can have some kind of UFO encounter over here. Uh, you can become an influencer, and overnight, from 2,000 followers, you're gonna have a million, so that could be a really first house Uranus kind of situation. Magnetism, your communication is like flowing, and you are a genius, and people are attracted to your brain, for example. You want to study, doing research, you want to consult people and just speak and speak and speak. You're doing courses, teaching courses. Um, And non-profits for sure. So that's going to be your personal gift over here. Uh, what else could be during this transit? Well, your respiratory and your nervous system could go under a little bit of struggle, and you can have carpal tunnel, lung issues, for example, uh, during your limb, shoulder, frozen shoulder. You need to use sleep protection, as I said, because of, or breathing practices. Actually, marshmallow, not marshmallow root, but mullein tincture is really good for respiratory illnesses, especially for you Geminis. Remedies are really, really good during this time. Yeah, but you can use frequency healing. You can get a miraculous healing through, like rife machine, things like that. Cancer rising sun and moon, it's going to happen in your 12th house, guys. That's the hidden, the unconscious, the spiritual life, something to do with retreats, whatever lies beneath the surface. And over here, for example, you're going to become more private, more spiritual right now. And you might going to open a boutique hotel, but it's going to be all, like weird, very weird rooms, or like unique rooms, or it could be like you going for retreats, ayahuasca, mushroom, right? San Pedro's ceremonies, for example, and it's opening your third eye, your Akashic record, and you're going to download information after this. Something what was hidden could actually surface. Uranus is, like unexpectedly, just like an eclipse bringing something on surface. Maybe a hidden enemy, maybe what was lost, and you are happy about that. There will be a lot of spiritual practice, but the spiritual practice is sacred, but also Uranian energy as well. So it has to do something with music therapy, frequency healing. It's very, very important during this time for you. Uh, you're going to mushrooms. Mushrooms is eating mushrooms is very important, and you might going to see a lot of UFOs at night. You are looking out from the window while you are tossing yourself in the bed. The window is open, and there is a phenomenon like a UFO is coming, and you see the spaceship or whatever. Could be like that. You might going to go to space travel. Who knows who is listening? But it could be one of you, of course. There could be also, the hidden enemy. The position of the hidden enemy is not really good right now because this turmoil could, like a tornado, take them out. So it's good for you, but not for the hidden enemy. However, Uranus Mars going to conjunct in July 4th, so there is some kind of hostile agenda against you in this situation, right? So it's some kind of shadow craziness, crazy people, especially if you're working in mental hospital or with drug addicts, just careful over that. They can become very hostile. Yes. What else could happen over here? You can write lyrics, music. It's frequency, so it's 12 houses really good for that. You can use some kind of frequency machine to help with your dream, lucid dreaming, or with your apnea. Your apnea could be healed with a chips or something like that. Definitely, your nervous system is really vulnerable. I know you might have a PTSD and you need therapists, but you also can have some kind of non-profit for underprivileged. That's for sure. Or veterans. You can start to work with veterans if you are a health practitioner, if you are a holistic healer. That could be really good, or Reiki healer, right? Prana, you're using prana as well. All right, Leo rising sun and moon is going to happen in your 11th house, which is collective vision, community, friends, networks, anything to do with the future, what you are building toward to. So my lovely Leo risings, it is activating your 11th house. It could bring in actually lottery winning, during the 7 years. It is bringing in new friends, really, really, like old and young and gay and straight and weird. Your network and your collective vision is changing. You can open an organization, a crowdfund. You can start a movement. You can actually protest. You can be the leader of the protesters, for sure. But your social network goes under change. It could also take out people, like out of nowhere, they just disappear and they never return. And your community is going to become like really, like busy. Like you will do a lot of things with your friends, with your community. You will be engaged all the time, maybe even on social media, or you're going to open up a lot of social media accounts and doing your community over there, and it's gonna get a lot of followers overnight. Yes, so it's non-profit crowdfund or some kind of, it could be something with technology, right? You can create an application, for example, a domain, but it has to be based on technology or writing, for example, or financial astrology as well. It could be. Yes, it could bring in significant amount of money from your career because it's second house from your career, right? Um, and yeah, your creative power, it's all going to be around speech and debate. And you can be in a lot of speech and debate classes. And you might gonna go to an event where they are talking about UFOs or, that yes, or you might going to go events where there is a lot of Silicon Valley tech geniuses and you became friends with them. Definitely, you are connected and you will be connected with people. You can actually spontaneously win a court case, become a judge. You were an attorney, but you never wanted to be a judge, and they just gonna offer you to pay for to go to school again and do another master and become a judge. Virgo rising sun and moon is going to happen in your 10th house of career, public reputation, authority, legacy, how the world sees you actually. You're going to change your name, maybe you divorce or you doctorate or you marry. It's top of your chart, your career, the public reputation over here. So it's a turmoil. You can become a CEO or actually get fired overnight, right? When its ingress is over here. Uh, it could be also, you're going to be, because of you rebelled and you protested and you're going to be the face of humanity. You be in the social media for a long time because you did something what was revolutionary, for example. And Uranus can reward many times, guys, because it's the genius. It's a beautiful, beautiful planet. I love the color of Uranus. Oh my God. Uh, and it could be something unexpected in career-wise, which could be a disruption, but also unexpected motivation and unexpected success as well for you guys. So maybe you're going to be the best artist, singer, or you go to British or American Got Talent and everybody gonna know your name during this time. Your profession, you might going to actually be create a crowdfund. Uh, Career, Uranus, become an engineer, a genetic engineer, something to do with cloning something. It's training with Pluto, so you can clone something, and that's sixth and 10th house. So yeah, possible. Um, Maybe your dog going to be cloned during this time. Um, what else could be over here? You can become a scientist. You can get Nobel Peace Prize or the Nobel Science for your science Nobel Prize. Um, as well, something with discovery, something healing dementia or ALS or autism. You can have a public statement actually, which is going to be eye-opening and is going to divide people. Somebody gonna hate you, somebody gonna love you and follow you, no matter what. Yes, so it is the excellence, the genius. So use it for actually excellence, not disruptive energy. And you're going to have a lot of connection and a lot of information, and you could be the bridge between people as well. All right, then Libra rising Sun and Moon, it's going to happen in your ninth house, which is philosophy, higher truth, anything to do with publishing, long journey, everything to do with law as well, and justice system and foreign words. So you can go to a foreign country, you get your citizenship that was on hold, you get your, passport. It could be like you just suddenly want to learn a language or teach, be a peacemaker in another country if you're military, or learn or teach a language, teach abroad. It could be something to do with your philosophy. Your faith is going to change. There is some kind of justice law coming into your life, and one day to another you just win it. But it's out of nowhere. Somebody sues you, but out of nowhere you win it as well. Definitely a lot of irreversible disruption could happen over here as well. So long journeys, right? And oh, yeah, okay. So what else is happening over here? With publishing, you can publish a book, you can publish something about technology, start podcast, become famous overnight, have a lot of subscribers, for example, right? Ninth house. Legal matters actually could become, significant during this transit over here for you guys in the ninth house. Um, it could be some kind of legal matters and engagement with relatives, maybe with older siblings. You're gonna go to court to or court with as well. What else could happen over here? You can get recognized if you are maybe a religious, person and about your spirituality. Maybe you are going to become an amazing astrologer on Rumbles or on social media. Um, you can start to publish right now. That's important, and you don't need permission. You're going to get into the best university, perhaps it could mean as well. Definitely exciting in the ninth house. A lot of traveling happening for you as well, and overseas traveling would happening for you. Um, and your school could have a lot of protest, your university. Scorpio rising sun and moon is going to happen in your eighth house, and eighth house is transformation, shared resources, deep psychology, anything to do with death, rebirth, hidden interior, investigation, abortion, miscarriage, things like that. So Uranus over here obviously could bring in, unexpected pregnancies, abortion, miscarriages. It could bring in some kind of offset, like somebody hacking your account and you have to hire a detective. Uh, it could bring in transformation in your money, transformation with your significant other. You might going to go to different account. You always had an account together, but right now you are just going on different account right now. Uh, and your financial situation also involving some kind of inheritance and joint investment, or a stock market capitals also could bring in for you sudden turning point. It could be bad or good, but it could bring in money from uranium, lithium, anything to do with SMR or cryptocurrency. It could start to increase because Uranus is a genius planet over here. You might want to do surgery, some kind of neurological surgeries, maybe shoulder frozen shoulder or carpal tunnel. You have to do something with it. Uh, yeah, maybe you're going to have a prosthetic sleeves, arms, a chip in your arm. Maybe you are the one who needs and will be the first, who gonna be healed from ALS, dementia. So this is it is also good for you to get the right mortgages, for example. It could be really possible. You know, Yes, you can find your hacker, or you can be hacked as well. Actually, literally, you can have a death and a near-death experience, heart palpitation, and then you come back and then you write a book about that. You can also go to therapists during this time with your significant other. It could be one of the outcome as well. Um, hmm. It could be also like some kind of, encounter. You go to a therapist and you go to hypnotherapy, and then you remember, oh my God, actually, I had an encounter with UFOs, and it gives you excitement. What else could be over here for you? Unexpected changes in intimacy. It could light up. It could be very, you know, refreshing and unique, not, conventional kind of sex and physical intimacy. And also you will be engaged maybe with your significant others, like role play, but it's something to do with intellect. It's very important. You're gonna definitely do a lot of researches and investigations. You're just gonna be deep down in the rabbit hole right now, and or maybe studying AI. Um, you can open a global offshore account during this time as well and transit some kind of, maybe Portugal or, Cayman Island, Panama, where you don't have to pay that much taxes, for example. All right, my fellow Sagittarius rising sun and moon is going to happen in our seventh house. That is partnership, marriage, open enemies, the mirror of the other, and committed relationship, right? It is also your subscribers and, legal matters as well. So like some legal matters could come up, unexpectedly, or you can have a lot of followers overnight. Like people just start to connect with you and love your language and love the way you talk and your voice and what you have to say, for example. But it could also bring in some kind of paperwork from legal partnership, maybe a prenup, maybe a divorce paper, maybe a settlement, or you just going to get married. It could be as well, but it's unexpected. You're going to get stimulated maybe by your significant others, for example. It could be also, like your significant other and you going undergo sudden changes. It could be dramatic. It could be very uncomfortable. And if you are strong enough, you're going to stay together. But if not, then it's bringing in divorces, divorce with friends, divorce with significant other. It's an exit, right? Because you don't want attachment. You don't want to be codependent anymore, or whatever was the relationship. It has to change significantly because the way it is, it can go further. That's what it is. Um, it could also make you to win a legal matter as well, and bring in new partnership. But also it could bring in enemies as well, right? Because it's open enemies. But I think because Uranus over here is the genius, you're going to overcome your enemies actually with your mind, with your geniusness. Yes, and you don't have to undermine them, but your competitors, but you definitely going to declare a win over them. And it could be something with intellectual competition, actually, right? And then something to do with geopolitical issues, you're definitely going to go and change your opinion of certain countries, for example, who you supported before, you might not going to support anymore. Um, and it could be also, like, hmm, perspective of you and your partner is very different right now. You feel like you don't belong or you are not connected the way you were connected before. There is a lot of philosophical questions. There is a lot of things that is somehow detached. Uranus could be really detached. Or you just want total freedom and you're gonna be the rebel, the freedom to go out with friends and, like you have enough from the status you've been assigned for, like the mother, the wife, or whatever, the girlfriend, and you're just like, no, I need freedom right now. Um, yeah. Respiratory illnesses, something to do with, also could be actually your significant other could go through some kind of issues with hormones. Oh, by the way, yeah, you can go some hormones issues through this because seventh house, balancing hormones. So hormonal imbalance could happen and it could be very rapid. And dizziness, for example, could be as well. All right, Capricorn rising sun and moon is going to happen in your sixth house of daily work, health, routine service, body, like the instrument practices, yoga, your pet, your soulmate. Suddenly you find a soulmate, you can sell a property, which was a rental property very quickly or buy one. You find a dog or a cat in front of your door and it's going to be your forever friend, or you can lose an animal as well. Yes, it could actually, like bring in some kind of dizziness, carpal tunnel, that's your health over here, hormonal issues as well, joint pain and ligament issues, for example. Seizures, be careful with seizures, for example. Maybe you want to go to ketogenic diet. It's good for seizures if you have. Or your dog could have seizures for the next 7 years. You could have some kind of dizziness, which is actually mimics, like vertigo, but it could be a Lyme disease, a hidden Lyme disease, for example. Definitely do ear candling, clean the canals over there. Uh, what else could happen for you? Your routine is changing drastically. You're just not going to stay the same. Uh, you're going to have more employees, or you also can have teeth issues, for example, implants during this time. But as you can have your colleagues, you can fire your tenants, you can leave your rental property or get evicted. Mm, you can have a prosthetic arm, prosthetic sleeves, you can heal dementia, ALS. You can open up a healing center with sound healing and yoga and vibration and or you can maybe your state or country allows psychedelic mushrooms and you can do retreats with psychedelics or ayahuasca, things like that could be really. I definitely would ask for help, like other people, not just one for your health practitioner because it could be a miscommunication over there. Your voice, vocal cord going to be very important. Maybe thyroid issues as well could be surfacing right now. You're definitely going to become more intelligent and like practice, for example, crystal healing and gamma breathing, frequency healing. Maybe you're going to be using rife machines to heal people. What else could happen over here? You can become a genetic engineer or engineer, architect who building bridges, right? You can create an animal shelter or start to, like give to animal shelters and support them. Yes, and some kind of therapeutic modality, but maybe with firefly therapy or red light therapy. You use red light and you use sauna, for example, for healing. That's going to be very important. Aquarius rising sun and moon, it's going to happen actually in your fifth house, and fifth house is children, creativity, self-expression, joy, romance, anything to do with risk-taking. Lottery ticket, you can win the lottery. Actually, I won the lottery when Uranus was in my fifth house, guys, and I won $60,000. I just want to tell you that. So Aquarius rising, it's might going to happen to you. And then yes, your children, if they autistic or like atypicals and not neurotypicals, they can go through healings. ADHD medication could become relevant. You can start to actually supplement them with cordyceps or lion's mane, nootropic mushrooms, could be really beneficial for your children. Uh, it could be some kind of spontaneous opportunity to express yourself. Maybe you write something, or it could be something with paint something. I know your children can get into sport leagues and become really famous overnight, for example, or with their creative project, for example. You can also do some kind of humanitarian act toward to children with creativity as well, um, or just actually capture children with wealth and with, for example, challenges, and compare that two sides and show you know the difference between. Um, Fifth house, it unexpectedly you can become a mother or father. Pregnancy is possible over here. You can have a lover, but you didn't plan to. You are married, perhaps, and you just fall in love, and or you just not accidentally. It's not nothing accident like that, but you just have you know intimate encounter with someone and cheat on your significant other, and it could create a turmoil. If you actually investing NFTs could be, some kind of digital ownership of NFTs could go high up, or cryptocurrency for you could actually increase during this time. Or if you invested uranium, lithium, batteries, EV cars could be really good investment during these times. Definitely very new dimension with children's, right? It is something to do with like, I'm becoming a father, a mother, or we are pregnant, and that is a new connection, and it's like scary at the same time and craziness because my life was peaceful, but right now it's chaotic. But I love it as well. And it could be also like you say, oh, maybe I saw a UFO, and you don't know if it's your imagination and it was there, like you will be a little bit like, oh, am I tricked over here? What's going on? Am I hallucinating? Definitely speculative businesses could go really fast and happening, gambling. From gambling, you might going to become a professional gambler right now. You can buy actually a sport or electric car, but somehow, or win. Actually, you can win a car. Uh, yes. What else is going over here? You can get an agent or a manager for your art project, and it's going to take you to the high roads because it's Uranus. You can get overstimulated from children and really aggravated, if the children are acting up. So you need to practice some kind of discipline for sure. And hmm, yeah, you're going to have some kind of skills which is marketable and which is going to bring in financial increases. And you can finish and polish projects which is due to creativity. Open up maybe a summer camp with robotic camps for children, or what is that? A chess camp, something with the genius, right? All right, and the last not least, my beautiful Pisces rising sun and moon. I talked way too much again. I'm just so tired, and I forget I have a client right now, so I have to talk another hour before I pick up the boys. All right, so Gemini going to go Pisces for your fourth house. Okay, that's your family, your roots, your foundation, your private self, anything to do with inheritance as well, not just the eighth house. So you definitely, it's more like the next 7 years you are moving. The foundation of the family foundation is changing. Maybe you're going to have a child who is going out, flying out from your house, or due to a divorce. The foundation itself, it's changing right now. Your whole entire boundaries with family going to change as well, because of Uranus does put borders, because Aquarius ruled by Saturn and Uranus. So it does know borders more than Pisces. And that's what's happening over here. A living situation goes under significant change. Maybe you need to change the wires in the wall, electric wires, or maybe you have a tornado or a wind damage on your roof, something to do like that. Maybe you're going to just do a smart home, or make sure you don't have EMF, like toxicity in the house. So you're going to make EMF proof everything. So yeah, definitely it is something with a faster move than you anticipated. So something is very disruptive in your living situation, in your shared space, in your family dynamic over here. Yes, it could be like you get a family member in, take care of a parent, or a sibling comes, visits, and stays longer. It could be a new child, a new family, adopt a kid, for example. You can actually find out your father is not your biological and or your mother, and then you all, it's chaos inside, but you meet your biological parents, for example. Maybe it was concealed, but not anymore. Yes, so there is, changes over here. Yes, so wires, maybe you're going to actually put a lot of camera around the house, surveillance, because you live in a place where, like it's not gated and you're scared a little bit because we're gonna have civil wars. Uh, yes, it could be something to do with, well, boundaries between the family members and you. You want more freedom. You don't want to be home with them all the time. You want to go and travel or just be outside somehow. Uh, that could be also you are creating an office at home. You're gonna start to work from home. uh, or buy a new home where then definitely both of you going to have offices, for example. It could bring a lot of opportunity in real estate or home-based work, or you might going to, like have some kind of creative profession. You can get a real estate license, for example, or a real estate license. Or working from home is very, very familiar, or become a property manager, an HOA president, for example. Geopolitically, you're going to support right now the opposition party that you supported before. You have enough. what you supported before and just the opposition party, for example. Uh, you're gonna be very conversational with your family. It's a bridge right now. You want to get connected with all of them. But also they can distress you because, that's like family is Uranus over there, make you crazy sometimes as well. Yes, and what else could happen over here? The Pisces, for Pisces, you being a Pisces, write a movie script, for example. Uh, you can create AI artwork, definitely. During this time, you can buy art in your home. Hmm. You can make your home very, very unique, very unique. And people, when they enter, they say, "Oh my God, I have never seen this space. Where did you get that? Where did you, like very unique, very authentic, and not authentic, but unique, could be." And what else could happen for you? It's a liberating force, Pisces. All right, guys. I'm tired actually right now. I became really tired, but I'm happy you guys are here, my dears. And we went through the 12 signs, we went through of mythology and everything. So please, as I said, uh, you know, uh, like, subscribe, and hype my videos as well, and comment below. I'm gonna try to actually create polls. What do you think? How is it going to work out? But I'm very happy for the one people going to be smarter and more open-minded and not sleepwalking anymore. Shaking Uranus gonna shake us up like it's uninventable. It is just like that's Uranus. It's and make us to be rebel and talk and not allow the freedom of speech to be censored. So I'm happy for those. All right, my loves, thank you so much, and I see you soon with another video. Bye for now. Take care.